to kind of go over. So different for me because I don't usually talk about these kinds of items, but I wanted to go over what I envision kind of my fleet piece would look like. Um, so I keep this Google sheet, which I plan on doing more videos on. If I do more like ship reviews, I can continue to kind of show evaluation and some of the calculations I do with that. But I also like to just generally keep. I like to focus on trying to keep money on hand for ships that I want to keep for my fleet and how I might go about purchasing them. Obviously, that data is going to get really messed up when they start to change the cost of all these ships. So, anyways, let's get right into it. So, I have four categories here. I have the first ones, the ones I've owned. So, like the ones I currently have purchased. I have the Reclaimer here, the F8C Lightning. I did pick that up during the recent event where they kind of made that available. I kind of regret that a little bit. Like, I can foresee changing that to something different. My understanding is I don't want to necessarily play Squadron 42, but I really want to. My understanding is they're going to make that ship available with Squadron 42, so it might be a bit of a waste. I did pick up the C8R as my intro ship. I don't. I probably bought the Mustang or something like that, and then I upgraded it eventually to the C8R. I did have the Vulture at one point, but I changed that to the Reclaimer after I enjoyed playing the Reclaimer a lot. I actually looked at the Reclaimer. I was like, that ship is but ugly, and I don't want to use it. But then I spent a lot of time with it, obviously, with the Hammerhead mission, and just generally being in it, and I liked it. So it's one of those things where it kind of grew on me, and I've come to like it quite a bit, obviously, because I picked it up. So I think the major factor on that was the naming. That was kind of a kind of a draw for me. So I get that it's kind of a weird way for them to do that sale, but I definitely want to pick it up when it has either 10-year or 1-year insurance. I don't think that's going to be a big deal, but it would be kind of cool to get it, I guess, all in all. I'm not going to spend a bunch of money on it if that's the case, but it would be nice to kind of get that going. Next up, I have the considering column. The only one that's really in here that I'm considering like an actual purchase, like I can see maybe changing the FAC to this, although it doesn't allow me to upgrade this in the same way. So I'm not sure how to do that. But the Apollo, I've been kind of watching that one. I've always, as you see with the C8R, I've always kind of been interested in the medical gameplay piece. I just haven't found a ship that's really good with that. And the Apollo might be it, but I'm hesitant to try to pick that one up. But that's what I've kind of been eyeballing here. Actually, I need to zoom in because it's hella hard to see what's going on here. So, sorry, here we go. Reclaimer, F8C, and C8R. Those are the ones I have. Considering the Apollo is something I'm considering. Now, the C1 and the A1, I actually may get those, but I don't know. I don't think that I would probably buy them in game. I don't think I'd pick them up. Um, Here's the ones I would consider buying, or I like the idea of getting them in game. The Carrick, the Starfarer, I don't know. These kind of stick out to me. The character I like quite a bit. I mentioned that one multiple times, but I ended up playing that one in November with the free intro piece, and it just kind of has stuck with me. And it's kind of goes along with the C8R piece there. So I'd like them to kind of redo it a bit, but I don't know. That one, it just kind of has a special place in my heart. Depending on what the price changes to, I may not keep it on this list, but for now, it's on the list of wanting to keep in my fleet. Again, one that I would buy in game. Starfare is kind of the same boat. Like it's between here and Torn. But I don't know. I kind of like the Starfare. So actually, it'd be cooler as because it kind of reminds me of Halo or something, right? But it would be cooler as a transport ship, to be honest. I guess it does have the seats in it, I think so. Um, the other thing I tried doing as a video is seeing if I can get the Vulture. Like you can get the ferries to attach in the bay, not the bay, but the fuel pods here. And I was trying to do the same thing with the Vulture, and I couldn't quite get it to stick. But doing this as like a carrier vehicle would be pretty cool. But I don't know. I kind of like the refueling idea. Any of the industrial stuff, I've kind of come into liking quite a bit. So that goes kind of into the whole sea. Hauling seems pretty interesting. I haven't had a whole lot of success. I mean, I've had success with it, but it hasn't like I like salvaging more and some of these other industrial gameplay more than the hauling piece. Maybe when they have hauling missions, that might be a little more fun. So I can foresee having the whole C. That kind of goes into the C2 piece here. If I have this, do I need both? Maybe not, because I'm not overly in love with the C2, but it's part of the quote unquote meta or whatever. Um, so I can see these two kind of competing a bit, but obviously you can't really land on the ground with this one, but you can with the C2. So I don't hate the C2, but the vision on it and stuff like that. Some of these Crusader ships are a little rough. Like I want to love them, but sometimes the vision on them is not great. A2, I mean, I generally like the bombs. I was in the Air Force, so some of these ships kind of have a soft spot in my heart based upon kind of the whole Air Force kind of allure, and that's kind of where that fits in. You'll also see that with the Eclipse here. But the Connies, I do like the constellations, and so I have two of them actually here. I'm torn on whether I would really keep the Taurus in this listing actually, because I already have a couple other transports, so that one's kind of mix between here and the Tauren listing. But for now, I can see keeping it. Same thing with the Andromeda. It's an interesting one. I just kind of like it. That's another ship that I actually ended up using quite a bit during the November trial period. And so I just kind of, again, it's another ship that kind of special place in my heart. The Ares, I definitely like these quite a bit. These are in the list of, I'd like to keep them. This is the Inferno reminds me of the Burt cannon, the old Warthog. So that one, these two kind of have a special place in my heart. Again, that kind of Air Force kind of piece there. The Ion, similar idea as the Inferno. It could be a little bit better with the bounty hunting missions because you don't have to worry about ammo rates. So you just have the energy piece component there. The cutter, I don't know. I just I like the cutter a lot. I don't know why. A little engine that could. All in all, I think this is, again, if I were to recommend people to get a starter ship, it'd probably be this one. I wish it was a little bit bigger so you could fit like a rock or something in there. I mean, you can technically do it, but you can't really jump and stuff with it. So I've seen videos on YouTube. I haven't tried to see if this will fit in the Carrack or things of that nature. I should really do that. I should try that out. But I just, if like I'm going to take out a starter ship to show a video in the perspective of someone that's new to the game, I'm going to take out the cutter. And if someone's going to ask me like, hey, what ship would you start with? It would probably be the cutter. I mean, I wish it had like a front door and all of that stuff, but price wise, I don't know. I just like it. It kind of reminds me too of like the Mandalorian, right? It's kind of like this little, like I said, little engine that could. Vulture Prospector, kind of same thing here. This whole row kind of reminds me of the allure of industrial gameplay. I like the raft. I don't know why. I just like the raft. It's weird that it doesn't come with guns. You have to put some on it. I think mine right now, I like to take it out in flight occasionally. It's got a lot of fuel, so it's easy to jump around to different places. But sometimes I forget when the reset happens that I need to put guns back on it. But the Mole I haven't used much, and the Prospector, but I definitely plan on doing that in the future, especially when salvaging gets. Unfortunately, it's going to get a bit of a nerve. I foresee. So it kind of needs, it's so much easier to do salvage right now that to bring the other two, the mining and line, these need to kind of come into line with much easier gameplay. The Valkyrie has a soft spot in my heart again. I just like this one. I would only buy it in game. I wouldn't buy it out of the game, but definitely it's a fun ship to be in, and I like it. It kind of goes along with the Terrapin. I probably should buy them closer together like this. But the Terrapin is another situation where it's like a mini Valkyrie. I wish they would make, I don't know. It'd be cool. They need to do something to the Terrapin. It doesn't go into the Torn section here for me, and it's a good segue here to the Torn listing, which I'll do here in a second. But the Scorpius, kind of the X-wing thing going on with it, I generally like this one. I don't know why, but I generally do. It's here between here and Torn, but I feel like I need more like bounty hunter and type combat ships. So I feel like it has to kind of stay in here. I need to probably find more. The Fury is just fun to play with. It's a little low cost ship. So, but the Terrapin segues into the Torn listing here, which is ones that I am considered to buy in game. I wouldn't buy them out of the game, but I would buy them potentially in game with AUEC. The 890, that Terrapin fits in here. That's pretty much the only reason it's in here. I'm not super into, as you can see, I have no other origin ships, I don't think, right? Yeah, I have no other origin ships on this listing. So it just shows I'm not super into the luxury area here, but these two, they've kind of made it to the list here. Just again, this one, the bay is bigger here, so the hangar, so it's easier for me to fit more things in it. That's really the reason it's here. Um, it's fine. But with the price goes up, I doubt that it'll be worthwhile getting in game, at least for me. Caterpillar, same thing. I already have so many other ships that can carry cargo. It's a hard sell here. Although the Furies can fit in here, but again, I mentioned before, the Furies can also fit on the Starfarer. So that's kind of a cool little gameplay thing. You can fit like 4 of them on here or something like that. And I think it's like the same count. So I don't know. Like I like this ship a lot, but it's hard to find a spot for it when you have some other things that do what it does, but better, unfortunately. The 600, I'm looking to see what the rework looks like before I commit, want to commit any even in-game money towards that. That's kind of what I'm waiting for there. The C8, X Pisces. I already have the C8R, so it's hard to say I would want to get this one, but it is something I was considering keeping. I may end up buying this in game. Mercury Starburner, I haven't used it too much. It's one of the game ones I've recently purchased in game. Look forward to trying out more, but it's nothing special. And again, the view isn't always great. I don't recall. Again, I've only flown it a few times. It's a cool ship. It's a cool concept, but it's hard to find a spot for it when you're trying to save AUEC. Cuddy Red, Cuddy Black. These are fine too. Yeah, I like Drake ships. Obviously, there's a lot of Drakes on these listings here, including the Corsair down here below. So clearly, I favor those ships, but it's hard to justify all of these spots for these different ships when you have other ships that are kind of like with the Drake here and the Corsair. Sorry, the Corsair Drake and the Constellation Andromeda here. Those are pretty competitive, right? So kind of choose one or the other. Although the C8R does fit in here, so I don't know. I may find a spot for this. I do like flying it generally. Sometimes it seems to get hit on hangars and stuff, so it can be a little wonky. Cutlass Black and the Red, I did mention these briefly, but again, a medical gameplay piece here. But I like the C8R better, or going with a bigger ship, including the Carrack. And that's part of the reason I like the Carrack too. It's got the medical bed in it. But the Cutlass Black, I don't know. I just can't. It's fine, but the little cutter is fine too. And there's other ships that I have over here that do things better than the Cutlass Black. Hull A, same thing as I mentioned before with the whole transporting things. I like the idea of the Vulture and the Hull A working together because you can like remove cargo from the Vulture, sorry, from salvaging stuff onto the little Hull A, but I never ended up doing that too much. I was thinking, I bring the Hull A out first, do some scalping. So let's say like you have a C2 or something, or I don't know, a bigger ship, maybe a Cuddy or something like that, or Connie, and you're trying to do some salvaging. Maybe bring the Hull A out, and you can just throw the boxes onto the Hull A, assuming that ship has stuff. Then you go sell that first on the Hull A, then you bring your Vulture out and you do some salvaging. So that doesn't really come to fruition because I have a reclaimer now, but it was just an interesting concept. I think that something like a Hull A and a Vulture are good for like entry level, like, hey, I want to do some salvaging, maybe some hauling, or kind of use those two in tandem to get salvaging done. And then kindly the Constellation Phoenix, cool ship, but again, it's hard to justify finding a spot for it. But yeah, that's kind of a quick look at what I would foresee as interesting ships in my fleet. I'd be interested to see what you guys' comments are. And yeah, I don't know. That's just a little video idea I had. And I know a lot of people like to talk about their fleets, but that's kind of how I see it panning out. Oh, I didn't show the spreadsheet here. Oh, this is really bright. But at the end of the day, I have a listing to keep track of what the different ships are, and then uh, how much it would cost to actually purchase them. So if I had to purchase all these ships, it'd be 157 million. So that's a lot of AUVC. But if I have the ones I just want to keep that don't include some of those Torns, it's a little bit less, right? It's 100 million instead. You can see obviously the big chunks come out with like the 890 and stuff like that, and the Carrack, and so it's just good to track that. That way you know how much AUEC, if you were to track this, how much you actually need to keep, especially going into the next patch. So like, assuming they don't do a reset in 3.23, which I don't think they will, I just need to make sure I have this much money on hand to keep the ships that I currently want in my fleet. Again, buying them in game. So which I've currently got. Actually, I have enough to do this as well. And if they're going to do a full total reset on 4, there's no reason I just continue to buy most things because, like I said, AUC, this buying the ships actually is the best way to spend to be the money sink because there's not really a good money sink right now. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any other questions. But that's so far my thoughts on what I would plan on doing for my fleet. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.